Keep coming back. It's time to live the life you choose.
And now it's time for a power hour from America's trusted resource for everything. Hello world, we're live from New York. It's the Real Estate RIVAlution every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. live on WRCR AM 1700 and worldwide on WRCR.com. Remember, you can call in through the entire show at 845-362-0013. And tonight we have Riva in the studio and our special guest co-host, Scott Forcino. Riva, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. Vinny, how are you today?
I couldn't be better.
So what's happening this week? We've had some good news and we've had some sad news this week.
Well, there's been a lot of good news, but the sad news everybody's talking about is the death of a musical icon, if you will, and Prince is gone and we'll remember him forever.
Yes, we will. Do we have a song?
Let's get crazy.
Oh, I'm not sure if we're going to... I remember this one. Yes, we'll all be wanting to sing along, and we'll miss you, Prince. Victoria, what else is up this week?
Well, we're here every single Wednesday to bring a real estate revolution to our industry, and we encourage everyone in the real estate industry to really band together and bring a positive movement of change for the greater good. And last week, we had a great topic. We had a couple of guests here. We had a co-host, David Weinstein, who was a guest co-host, and we also had Paul Oster, and we were talking about the dangers of social media, and we were also talking about the positive side of social media, and it was really wonderful. So we're going to continue that topic this week, and we have a very special guest here tonight. Who's our guest tonight, Vinny?
Well, we're really happy to have him here. Our guest speaker today, today is Mr. Thomas Grimes. Tom is a Tom is a United States Air Force veteran and a retired detective from the New York City Police Department. He spent the majority of his 20-year career investigating international narcotics trafficking with the FBI and the DEA. Those investigations took him from the streets of New York City to the islands of the Caribbean and the jungles of South and Central America. Tom has provided security for 3 U.S. presidents, Pope John Paul II, Nelson Mandela, and the UN General Assembly. He was an original member of the New York Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Strike Force and was a first responder in the attacks at the World Trade Center. He has spoken at schools and at events across the country and formed New York's finest speakers to educate in the areas of internet awareness and drug awareness. He has also been a keynote speaker on domestic violence and realtor safety. Tom is one of the featured detectives in the book Turning Blue. He has appeared on national and local news and has also been a frequent guest on the Today Show. Ladies and gentlemen, he's in the studio with us live, and you can call and speak with Tom or ask him a question at 845-362-0013. It's Tommy Grimes.
Perfect. Thank you, Vinny. Nice to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me back.
Oh, thank you for being here with us. We are thrilled to have you. We have had Tom here before, and that was an amazing show. You bring a wealth of information to not only realtors, but to homeowners and home buyers alike. And Scott, you were with us on that show as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad Tom's here. I feel really safe.
All right. Perfect.
No one's going to bother us at the studio. Yeah, Tom came back in September with Agent Safety Month, that the NAR promotes that month for offices and agents to get clear with their procedure and their protocol to remain safe. I know Tom's going to have some information advising agents how to remain healthy and safe and away from danger when showing houses or dealing with clients.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's beautiful that they have a month dedicated, but it needs to be 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that people are thinking about their safety in the real estate business and in any business, because the split doesn't matter if you're not there to collect the money. That's my thinking.
That is very true. You know, Tom, last week we were talking about social media, and it's very easy for us to go on social media and forget that there are people out there that are watching us that do not have good intentions. And we're putting things out there on a personal level. We're putting our location out there, and sometimes we don't even realize that our location is being picked up. And I know that you understand this probably better than most, and maybe you can shed some light on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong.
Well, I've never been a real estate agent, but I do look at what they do and pay attention. I think the internet has changed every industry in this country. It's changed the world. And no industry has adopted the internet like the real estate industry has, in my view. And when we think and we share too much, criminals are opportunists. And what they do is they look for an opportunity to turn somebody into a victim. The internet can be the greatest marketing tool that a real estate agent or a real estate company has. It can also make them vulnerable because we don't control who sees that message. So what we have to do is pay attention to what message we're putting out and how that message is received. Does it make us vulnerable or does it increase our business?
One of the things I learned last week was an interesting point. Paul Oster told us that because my setting is on private, it's only open to my friends. I believed that only my friends would see my post, but that is incorrect. He said when I put it on there, if Scott is one of my friends and he is public and he makes a comment or engages on any of my posts, that now is out to everyone.
Yes, and if Scott is tagged, if somebody else is tagged, you're including them in what you think is a private post, and those private posts get shared by people other than who you want them to see. I'm a believer in having a professional page on Facebook, on Twitter, on whatever we use, and a personal page, especially in the real estate industry. Some friends can become clients, some clients can become friends, but when we share our personal information with people who are really clients only or potential clients, we make ourselves vulnerable.
Right. And it is easy to do because business is personal and we want people to like and trust us, so we want to add a little bit of flavor into the business side of things, and we want to show them that there's commonality. You know, maybe I have a dog, you have a dog, and now I'm showing you the inside of my world.
People do business with who they know and who they like, and real estate is no exception. So you have to share a bit of yourself, a bit of your personality to attract. If it was just sell all the time, you'd have a boring post and nobody would look at what you're sharing. But that balance, when we share information, I call it like the I versus the we mentality. When we're doing something professionally, we're listing an open house, we're sharing an open house. We let our team come, let us show you this property, as opposed to I will be all alone from 2 to 4 on Sunday afternoon at a house overlooking the lake with great privacy. Great privacy means great opportunity to the criminal element. It's the misuse of that advertising that gets people in trouble.
There's also something else too, because even if we are saying we or I, we are telling people where we are. And you said earlier, right before we came in, that criminals are opportunists, and I know you just said it again now. Somebody may be driving by, maybe they looked at it, maybe there was a picture of that real estate agent, and that picture reminded them of someone else, and now they see there's only one car in the driveway, and it's probably just the realtors. So I know that person is alone.
It's a vulnerable position. When I speak on real estate safety, I start with real estate agents make their living meeting with complete strangers in empty houses. To me, as a narcotics investigator, that thought terrifies me. To a real estate agent, if it terrifies that person, they're in the wrong business, because the vast majority of people are who they claim to be. It's protecting ourselves when we don't know who's walking through that door. There's a strength in numbers. Working with more than one person, having a partner, somebody from the mortgage side, somebody from the home inspection side, people that are in a business that want to meet people that are in the business of buying houses. Not only other real estate agents, a veteran agent with a young agent. There is a strength in numbers, and two people are far more formidable than one person. There is story after story of tragedy averted because there was a second person there, and we surprised the bad guy who came with bad intentions to hurt that individual real estate agent. So there's a lot of steps that can be taken to make it safer. There's no guarantees. An open house is just that. People coming in off the street, they learned about it, however they learned about it, online, through advertising, or just happen to be driving by and poked in. There's things we can do to take the anonymity away. We require identification to enter the open house. We put up a sign that there's video surveillance at this open house, whether there is or whether there isn't. I want anybody entering the house to believe that there is. There's a lot of subtle things we can do that take the anonymity away, and that person with bad intentions walks into the house and doesn't believe they can get away with whatever crime they're going to commit.
Let's talk about some of the stories that have happened in the last few years, because as we're listening to this, I know that there's a lot of people saying, you know what, yeah, I hear you, but that doesn't happen here.
Right.
That won't happen to me.
Right.
And they're not really hearing what has happened. And can you shed some light on that?
It burns me that in an industry where 189 people have been murdered since 2008, 189 real estate agents have been homicide victims in the United States of America. And it burns me that people are still looking to be reactive as opposed to proactive with their own safety. And we have to take initiative, and it's industry-wide. The real estate industry is viewed as a soft target. Not individual realtors, some are softer targets than others, but the industry itself is viewed as a soft target. And it needs to be wholesale changes industry-wide, and it starts with vetting clients. When people come to meet a real estate agent, it has to happen in that office in a controlled environment. If you made an appointment with a dentist and the dentist said, I'll meet you in the parking lot of Metro North and I'll look at your teeth with a flashlight, and then if need be, we'll set up a follow-up appointment. No way! You're not going to that dentist appointment.
not.
You're not going to be there. A real estate professional has to handle it the same way. They
Right.
come to your office and you vet them as best you can before you're ever alone with that person.
You know, Tom, but you say Metro North, that's a great point. What is countered against, in my view, all the precautions that should be made or the practices that are in place is, as Victoria I'm sure knows and will agree, is the interest in realtors to be the quote-unquote local expert. So everything that they do, they want to be the quote-unquote mayor of that town. It's about territoriality. That's my building, that's my area which I farm. Everything is so area or geo-centered in that they want to be known as the person who knows the area. They know the neighborhood, they know the merchants, they know where you might want to live. So I think Facebook has really made people say, I'm here. They stake their claim in the ground, or if it's an open house in this part of town, they're really doing almost the opposite of what you said they should be doing. They're closely identifying themselves with an area with for their own benefit, their own acclaim, their own expertise, because that's the person I'd want to go to, wouldn't you? The person who can help me find that house in that area. So they're almost daily posting that their presence at Starbucks or this open house in that neighborhood. They're known. If you want to find Mary Jane in a part of, let's say, Westchester County, there are people who overtly on a daily basis say, I'm that guy or gal for the job.
And it can
Tom, before you respond, it's time for us to go to a commercial break. Remember, this is the Real Estate RIVAlution on WRCR AM 1700. Please call in at 845-362-0013. It's social media and safety for realtors, and we're speaking with Tom Grimes, former New York City detective. Call on in.
RIVAlution.
Whether you're looking to buy a new home or refinance, AnnieMac Home Mortgage offers competitive rates, a wider array of products, and best customer service available in the lending industry. They have renovation loans for the almost perfect home that just needs a little work. If you want to get a new home built, they have construction to permanent loans with competitive rates and quick closings. AnnieMac Home Mortgage has federally insured FHA loans for borrowers who have had credit problems in the past and no down payment. VA loans for current and former members of America's Armed Forces. Whatever loan product, our licensed mortgage originators will walk you through every step of the process and take the time to work with you individually. Talk to us. AnnieMac won't just get you a mortgage, they will get you the right mortgage for you. Call AnnieMac Home Mortgage at 1-888-242-1313. That's 1-888-242-1313. AnnieMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMSL 338923. AnnieMac Home Mortgage is a licensed lender by the Colorado Mortgage Company Registration.
Call Annie Mac.
This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, and I want to help you improve your credit. As the CEO of Better Qualified, I've helped thousands of people over the past 10 years. I'm the credit expert for Fox Business News and all the major networks. I'm a certified FICO Pro that uses the consumer laws to help delete negative information off of credit reports. We have a debt elimination program that focuses on the laws surrounding collections, judgments, and charge-offs. You could be entitled to up to $1,000 per violation. Call now for your free credit consultation. 888-533-8138. That number again, 888-533-8138, or visit us on the web at betterqualified.com.
It's time for the revolution. The real estate solution. We sort through that confusion. Come join the revolution.
Yes, it's the Real Estate Revolution, and we're back live from New York. We're here every Wednesday from 6 to 7, right here on WRCR AM and worldwide on WRCR.com. Also, we're streaming on Periscope and on Facebook and on YouTube. We're here with, of course, Riva, and we have Scott Forcino, our co-host, and a special guest, Tom Grimes, former New York City detective. Tom, the gavel was in your court, so to speak. What a mixed metaphor.
Yes. I believe what Scott is saying. We all want to come across as experts. We want to be knowledgeable. We want things that set us apart from other real estate agents. And I think that's part of the marketing strategy when talking about a particular area, a particular neighborhood, a particular town. I always compare a good realtor to a good detective. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know where to find everything, where to go, who to contact. And at times when we share too much of our attachment to a particular location, it can make us vulnerable. If somebody's targeting a real estate agent for whatever reason, they become more findable. Checking in at various places, sharing that you're here, sharing that you're there. It shows you know the neighborhood, that you know the area, that you know the town, but it can make you vulnerable in the wrong person's hands. Like anything else, it's the misuse of good information, the misuse of good marketing. It'd be wonderful if we knew Psycho was reading our marketing 5 minutes before he showed up as opposed to 5 minutes after he showed up. I don't know if that answers the question that you were bringing up.
Well, it's really just a notion where, yes, I'm sure agents and brokers and office managers know that there's a safety issue. They know the proper procedure to put in place. They even may have an office policy where it is in place. However, the day-to-day marketing, and keep in mind, these are independent contractors.
Right.
So if Sally wants to be down at the realtor identified with luxury properties or one development or one set of high-end homes or stores, they're going to be there a lot. And
yes, they are.
It's reasonable if you're looking to stalk them out, that's where you'll find them.
And it's very difficult to protect people from themselves. It's why the drug epidemic is part of what it is, because you're protecting people that are willing participants, at least early on, in the endeavor. In a drug deal, you have a willing buyer and a willing seller. In real estate, sometimes people go against their own safest interest or their own best interest in order to make the sale.
As in this case.
The National Association of Realtors did a study. 46% of real estate agents said, yes, we have an office policy pertaining to our safety. The other 54% said no, or I don't know. That's unacceptable.
And of the 46% that have a policy, how many of them are really using it?
Well, debatable.
That's another one.
And policies need to be implemented on an office basis by an individual that, in fact, make them safe. That it should be the group. It should be the team coming together and saying, what can we do to make it safer? We still do our jobs, but we make it safer. Code words, where I can tell you I feel uncomfortable, and I tell you a code word, the red file. In the police department, we used albatross. If I felt uncomfortable with Scott, nothing's happened, but I feel uncomfortable, I'm calling the office and I'm saying, I got an albatross, blah, 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 and somebody's gonna come meet me and makes it a little bit safer.
Right.
I suggest two code words. One means I'm uncomfortable with who I'm with. The other one means I've been attacked.
Right.
I've been
need
victimized.
you now.
I
Yeah.
need you now, and not only do I need you, I need people with
911.
guns and handcuffs. I don't want another real estate agent walking into a sexual assault. I want them to understand the code word, and that means call 911.
You know, there's a case that was publicly talked about, and just recently on Dateline.
Yes.
And we all know about it. And you said there was something about that when you watched it that really irked you. And
Yes.
Can you share that?
Well, we're talking about Beverly Carter, a real estate agent murdered in Arkansas. And as far as I'm concerned, Beverly Carter got killed doing what every real estate agent has done hundreds, if not thousands of times. She took a phone call from somebody who wanted to meet at a listed property, and she agreed to meet that person. What stands out, and please, the victim is never responsible for what happened to him or to her. The perpetrator is responsible for violent crimes, for any crimes.
right.
But there are things we can do. If we believe Dateline, Beverly Carter was a little raised up, a little apprehensive, a little concerned with the phone call she got from the person that eventually took her life. And she was worried about it, and she was concerned about it. And she shared that concern with her coworkers. What eased her concern was when the perpetrator said, I'll bring somebody else. I'll bring a female. I'll bring my wife to the meeting. You won't be there with me alone. Here, let me put this woman on the phone. That woman didn't actually show up. He put her on the phone, and it made Beverly Carter feel more at ease. Listen, if I'm at ease because I have a meeting with Vinny or I have a meeting with Scott, they are not going to bring somebody else to that meeting. I'm bringing somebody to that meeting if I feel uncomfortable
That's a
in
really
that
good
meeting.
point.
I bring a coworker, I bring a trusted friend, my husband, my wife, my daughter, my son. I bring somebody else. I don't let them bring somebody else to ease my fears. There's story after story of people avoiding their instincts. What I talk about is instinct, policy, and plan. And it starts with trusting your instincts every time out. Even if you can't articulate your concern to another person, even if you really don't understand it yourself, that hair is standing up on the back of your neck for a reason. We tell cops that's what you get paid for. Even if you can't articulate it, you respect it and you act that way. Real estate agents need to do the exact same thing.
Tom, but I understand, and that's one person's, let us say, misjudgment. She may have taken the wrong cue and bet the wrong way, tragically.
Right.
Okay. If it's the guy who installs cable or the UPS guy, they have a boss. So even if they feel like they can stop for lunch, they know that there's some rules. They know they can't do a
Right.
frolic and detour and go to the beach.
Right.
So with realtors as independent contractors, on a really, really positive sense, it's been said it's like herding cats. So if you can't get them to come to an office meeting, sometimes they may take that cowboy mentality and not necessarily want to follow every rule or think that they are above it or it won't happen to me, as Victoria said. I think that because we have only one level of protection, the realtor's judgment, and we don't have a boss that can say, you will do it this way or you won't work here. That's not what's done.
Right.
And too much discretion is that of their own. The UPS, they have to do it the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
People who work in any job, whether it's the assembly plan or Starbucks or in a law firm or in a hospital, there's no two ways about it. You work in a hospital, that's the way
That's
it
why
is.
we're here,
Right.
to educate people, because I hear it all the time. Well, that doesn't happen here. Well, guess what? Beverly Carter was showing a house in a great neighborhood, and her pediatrician lived on that same street. This was a very, very familiar neighborhood for her. This is not something that she felt nervous about, even though she had that instinct, and she said, you know what, I know the street, I know the people across the street, I sold
What
3
could go
houses
wrong?
here. Yeah. What can happen? I could just run out. But she couldn't.
Right.
And that's very unfortunate, and it's up to us to bring that information forward, because I didn't know that there were 186 homicides. Was it 186?
189.
189. I didn't know that. Did you?
I did because Tom told me in the past. But yeah, that's tragic, of course.
Right. So there's a lot, and that's homicides. That's
not
not
being
everything
assaulted.
else. Right.
Right.
So what else is happening? I mean, we really need to open our eyes to this and be aware. And there's another thing that you just mentioned before. You said realtors are very territorial, and they want to be known as the local expert. Well, I just recently was in a real estate office, and I heard a conversation, and the real estate agent was on the phone saying, there's great schools in that area. My daughter goes to that school, and not only does my daughter go to that school, but she goes to dance, and and she's at the soccer game, and every single Saturday, we have soccer right there at the park. It's right up the street, and it's so nice to have everything so convenient. She just told a complete stranger her daughter's schedule, where her daughter is, where she goes, what time she gets on the bus, what time she's at soccer by herself. Now, if there's somebody that's stalking that Facebook page, likes the picture of the daughter, she's in trouble. You know, and that is something very real. You just recently posted something that shook my world, and I wrote to you right away.
Right.
You know, share that with us.
Right. Well, it was about we're talking about the girl that was mistaken for somebody, right? She looked like somebody.
She looked like an ex-girlfriend
right.
or
She
something.
was targeted. This was a girl named Ashley Hall that had been in conversation with somebody for over a year before they ever talked about a first date. They set up a first date for Halloween weekend. It's a few years ago. Who showed up wasn't a young man, wasn't a teenage man like she expected, was a 32-year-old registered sex offender. Ashley never came home from that date. She was a sexual assault victim. She was wrapped in plastic and duct tape, and she suffocated and died in the trunk of Peter Chapman's car. Nothing to do with real estate. This is a chance online encounter. And 2 or 3 days later, the police investigating her homicide couldn't understand why this girl was targeted. They met on Facebook, and the family said that's where they met. And 2 or 3 days later, they got a call from a 29-year-old woman who was reading the newspaper about Peter Chapman's arrest. And she turned the page and she saw Ashley Hall's picture, and she said, "It took my breath away." And she called the police, and they said, "Why?" And she said, "Because she looks just like me." And I use a picture in my presentation of her holding up the newspaper. These two are identical. And I ask people in my audience, and I'll ask all of you guys, who do you look like? You have no idea who you look like in somebody else's eyes. And internet sexual predators are overwhelmingly male, 99.9% male. They may pretend to be a female, they may pretend to be a child with their online profile, but males can become obsessed with the image that they see, and then they can target that image. And when that image is a real estate agent who's posting that she's going to be all alone from 1 to 4 on Sunday afternoon, that's when we become vulnerable. There was a California real estate agent who was attacked in just this same way. He'd become obsessed with her online image, found she was going to be alone, and just about beat her to death. He thought she was dead when he was done with the beating. She pretended to be dead, and that's what saved her life. The beating stopped, he left, and she survived, luckily. We don't control who receives that message. What we do control is what is the message that we're sending out. And that has to limit our vulnerability and make us more successful. And it comes with an office having a policy that everybody needs to follow, and it needs to be your industry completely. Not individual agents, not individual offices.
Well, we've had that
but the
conversation,
industry.
but it's even from the highest level, they issue it. It got a really hot topic. I think it was September 2014.
Right.
And 1 more, 2 years later, when nobody gets hurt in their area, realtors do what they want. But,
Right.
you speak to a much bigger issue. It could be anywhere, anytime. Let's say you see a picture of a boy, 12 years old, and you just say that you're at a baseball game in Tampa. Well, now he's how old? 12, I said? That means you're, 6th grade. How many schools are in Tampa? A few. Or maybe a tiny town like where we are right now, Pomona. If a child is 12 or 11, there's only how many schools in Pomona where
Right.
he or she would be.
Right.
So now if you say that we're in the backyard and your Facebook page says, the location says Pomona, I mean, how hard would it be for even a moron to figure out there's Thomas Jefferson School, the George Washington School? They're there.
Right.
That's
and
a great
that's
question,
my point.
Scott. I'm sorry, Riva. It's time for another break. This is the Real Estate RIVAlution with Riva herself, live and in full color. Scott Forcino as her guest co-host. And, of course, we have Tom Grimes, former New York City police detective. We'll be right back on WRCR and WRCR.com.
RIVAlution.
Whether you're looking to buy a new home or refinance, AnnieMac Home Mortgage offers competitive rates, a wider array of products, and best customer service available in the lending industry. They have renovation loans for the almost perfect home that just needs a little work. If you want to get a new home built, they have construction to permanent loans with competitive rates and quick closings. AnnieMac Home Mortgage has federally insured FHA loans for borrowers who have had credit problems in the past and no down payment. VA loans for current and former members of America's Armed Forces. Whatever loan product, our licensed mortgage originators will walk you through every step of the process and take the time to work with you individually. Talk to us. AnnieMac won't just get you a mortgage, they will get you the right mortgage for you. Call AnnieMac Home Mortgage at 1-888-242-1313. That's 1-888-242-1313. AnnieMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMSL 338923. AnnieMac Home Mortgage is a licensed lender by the Colorado Mortgage Company Registration.
Call AnnieMac.
This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, and I want to help you improve your credit. As the CEO of Better Qualified, I've helped thousands of people over the past 10 years. I'm the credit expert for Fox Business News and all the major networks. I'm a certified FICO Pro that uses the consumer laws to help delete negative information off of credit reports. We have a debt elimination program that focuses on the laws surrounding collections, judgments, and charge-offs. You could be entitled to up to $1,000 per violation. Call now for your free credit consultation. 888-533-8138. That number again, 888-533-8138, or visit us on the web at betterqualified.com.
It's time for the revolution. The real estate solution. We sort through that confusion. Come join the revolution.
We're back on the Real Estate Revolution, live from New York on WRCR AM 1700. There's still time to call in at 845-362-0013, and we're here with Tom Grimes, former New York City police detective and an expert in security and social media. Tom, the answer to Scott's question, please.
Scott, repeat your question, my friend.
He doesn't
Read
remember.
back the question. But the question was an easy one. What can we do if everyone's posting their daily life and activities? And during the break, I thought, just to expand on that question, the young people are even worse because we're old. I'm 50. Yep, I am.
You're old.
Okay, but
Speak for yourself
Tom's in
there,
his
buddy.
late 30s. But seriously, the younger people are doing Instagram, Snapchat. It's their culture. They
Right.
don't have any
Right.
reluctance.
It's completely natural to them. There's no reluctance. And will they pay a penalty later in life when the mistakes they made at a young age were broadcast for the world to see? Yes, there's a desensitizing to, we see somebody being victimized and what we want to do is text or tweet or make a Vine video about it as opposed to helping that person and stopping a crime from taking place or calling 911. We post a video about it. There was a sexual assault. 2 girls that met a 29-year-old man in the mall who sexually assaulted one of them while the other one posted it live on Periscope like we're doing tonight. And she wasn't doing it to call for help. She was doing it to broadcast what was happening.
I've seen a lot of,
and somebody saw it and they called 911.
I've seen a lot of physical violence where there's a cop and there's bystanders.
Right.
It's the worst case of the Kitty Genovese original story.
Right. It's just an aspect of our society and an aspect of being able to share things worldwide. That's the negative side of it. But we have to look at the positive side. All these things are overwhelmingly good. It's the misuse that's bad. And we have to control what we share publicly versus what we share privately, and what we share about our business versus what we share about our personal life. We have to control that message.
Okay. And how do we do that?
Well, we do with separating public. Each post that you make, I'll pick on Facebook right now, but just about each post that you make, you control who the audience is. Part of what real estate has to do.
Maybe.
Well, you can by not tagging other people, by not geotagging locations and putting scannable information like that into, that may help a listing and make the listing more findable, but it may make you and your family more vulnerable. So there's a balance that has to happen there. With what we do real estate wise and what we do professionally, we have to be professional. Part of the aspect is your name and your face and your contact information has to be out there for people to find you. You need to be findable. That's how you do business. But control that message. I break it down. There's recognizable things when you're in danger, and it's the ability to recognize them and identify them for what they are. It starts from a real estate perspective of taking the anonymity away from that meeting, calling that client into your office for an interview. That interview includes photocopying a driver's license, vetting them as best you can on where they live, on where they work. That makes them more findable. That folder is kept securely in your office, and the client knows that that folder exists. That client has been introduced to other people in your agency, so when you're out alone together, he or she knows that other people know who you're with. We take the anonymity away from that equation, and we're safer. We're not completely safe, but we're safer.
Right.
And that's the starting point with what we do real estate-wise.
Well, Tom, the hard part of that is that the consumers are entirely not on board. They went through the boom before the bust, where a ham sandwich could buy a house.
I hear you, but it's the re-education of the real estate industry across the board,
That's right.
and the
Agreed.
American public. The day of calling your realtor and saying jump, and the realtor or the agency answer how high, are over. Scott, 189 people got
agree.
up, got dressed, went to work just the way you did today, and never came home in this industry.
Right. Because they put the buyer in control, and we need to take back that control.
One thought that the buyer was in control because then he could get a loan, and then they said, oh, Victoria, you won't take me? Well, Tom will.
Well, you know what? That's okay. My life's more important, and we have to start
One thing that
answering
might
it
be
like
possible
that.
is if there was 189 gruesome pictures or bios of their holidays, that there will never be another. Why doesn't every realtor in America have 189 photos of people's and their obituary and their mass card? Why that would be an easy one to me. Equip everyone with the facts and circumstances regarding those victims.
Good point. I share the Beverly Carter pledge that should be hanging in every real estate office in this country, and it's a pledge to be there for one another. It's a pledge to trust your instincts. It's a pledge that when I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna ask you to come with me, and you're gonna make yourselves available. Every real estate agency in this country needs to have a copy of that. And why did Beverly Carter make headlines and the other 188 didn't? I don't know. There's enough identifiable stories, and not everybody that was a homicide victim maybe was killed in just as directly related to their profession as Beverly Carter was. She was lured to a location for just that purpose. Some of them were killed. Every individual homicide is unique in its own way. Some of them probably directly related to their job and what they did. Probably some were murdered
And
through
one
their
more thing, I
personal
think
life.
these realtors, as far as let's see if you get a male and a female perspective, would you say that the female realtor, out of all the women that work in the workforce, are probably the most visible? They're easy to get their identifying information, where they work, their cell phone. Teachers, you can't find a lot of teachers.
Right.
Nurses, you can't find a lot of nurses. Female lawyers, it's tough enough. They have all kinds of gatekeepers. But realtors are very, very accessible and very open to being reached.
And to a certain extent, they have to be. It comes with their profession, but they need to limit. And I wouldn't point my finger at the females. Violent crime against real estate agents, 70-30. 70% female victims, 30% male victims. Robbery is the motive overwhelmingly. They want to steal what the realtor has. They want to steal what the realtor drives, the jewelry, the money, how we share our personal life. People want to hire you because you're successful and you will get the job done. But when we overshare that BMW, that Mercedes-Benz, the jewelry, we become a good target. So oversharing, flaunting a lifestyle, if you will, we want to be professional, we want to be successful, but we don't want to increase the ability to be
but Victor,
victimized.
you'll agree, the realtors that we know, which is quite a bit, and I'm sure the three of us might know 5 digits number of realtors, right? All we see about is their fabulous life, this dinner,
That's right.
this vacation, this sunset, this awesome
And that's exactly what he's saying.
trip we're
But
on.
here's what we need to do. We need to stop putting those photos out there. It's not only about putting a provocative photo out, because a lot of them are doing that, but we don't have to do that. And we definitely don't have to do that. But we also, if there's a picture, maybe that expensive watch is in the picture, or the standing against the BMW, like you said.
Or just out
we
to dinner.
have to, or out to dinner.
I mean, Tom and I did that last night. We
Right.
took how awesome are we photo, just because we're friends and we're out and having for a good cause.
Right, but
Right.
you are becoming a target when you do stuff like that. You have to be a little bit more aware of what that picture is showing somebody who doesn't have good
That's how you
intentions.
present yourself, yeah.
Also, you mentioned the telephone number. Our telephone number is everywhere. Get a Google number, something that can't be traced.
That's right. A business and a business only line. Too many realtors, everything they do is on that same line, and they become more findable, and they realize I can call you and misdirect you by getting your attention. So,
But not only call you and misdirect you, they can also find your location through your telephone.
Correct.
Plus, how long have we all
GPS-based
had-
devices.
How long have you had your phone numbers?
I
all of
know.
us for
Right.
dog's age.
I
2
absolutely
decades.
understand that, but it's awareness. And sometimes you need to change things.
I think-
I see the time, and I want to just talk about something a little bit different, get a little bit off topic, because homeowners, whether they're for sale by owners or or not, even if they're, one of the main reasons you'd want to use a realtor is, because of the negotiation skill, but also, do you really want to have strangers walking in your house?
That's a great point.
And I really want to
please.
get your opinion on
So
that.
many realtors have told me that an open house is a waste of time.
Yes.
But clients believe that they want it because they're trained to believe that that's how we sell
how it
houses.
was.
That's how it always was. There's a thing, the most dangerous phrase in the English language is, I've always done it this way.
That's right.
Things have to change. The internet has changed the world. Nobody has to come parading through your house 20 people on a Sunday afternoon anymore. They should make those by appointments, vetted clients by appointment only. Every house in the country, and it starts with you guys, the real estate industry, explaining to their clients how the internet has changed the world for the better. Their house is more findable, their property is more searchable, more understandable. We don't need to parade people through our houses any longer.
Right.
On the occasion, there may be the reason for it, a broker open house, and you're bringing all the agents and brokers through to go out and find customers. But the general public wandering through, it makes the realtor vulnerable, it makes the homeowner and their property vulnerable.
Let's talk about the property and the homeowner being vulnerable, because the last time you were here, you mentioned something that really goes under the radar for most people. I mean, we all know, put the jewelry away, anything that's of value, all that stuff. But you mentioned stuff like, they're walking through your house, you don't know who it is. They can open up a lock on a window. They can look at keys that are hanging.
People are there
or
looking
even
for
the
that
remote.
garage door opener, and they may steal it, and nobody's going to
Prescriptions, as you mentioned,
recognize
prescription medicine.
prescription medications.
But
Certain
that garage
things-
door opener, that really resonated with me when he said that, because it's not something I would have thought of.
Because the homeowner is not going to realize it's missing. They're going to think it's in the kid's car, or it's here, or if it's there, and now that person has just gained access. Some of them are just there reconning a location for a future burglary. They're looking at the calendar hanging on the refrigerator, and they're seeing that the
mentioned
family's going to be away
vacation, Bahamas.
in the Bahamas. And that's when I'm burglarizing this house. So it makes us vulnerable. The very nature of your business at times makes us vulnerable.
Right. Those are really, really good points, and it really needs to get out there because people do not realize that, and they do want
Not
the
at
open
all. And
houses.
if Tom and I discussed, if we really wanted to find out if we were bad guys, we'd be good bad guys because we know what to do and what to look for.
Right.
You'd show up with, dressed well, with maybe a professionally dressed wife or a girlfriend of yours, maybe some cute kids. Who'd ever think?
Right. And I'm sure Tom will agree with this. How many times have you heard, well, they were good looking, they seem so nice. I
Right.
didn't expect that.
Right, right.
What's the famous Ted Bundy, right?
Ted Bundy was a charmer, and he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so many people that are very good at what they do are just that.
Right. We think that the criminal is going to come looking like a criminal and wearing a shirt that says, I am a criminal.
Right.
It's not going to be like that.
Right. I wish, I often say when I speak that I wish I could identify the bad guy. I wish the bad guy wore a uniform. I wish evil was easily identified as I walk down the street and I could point out good and point out evil, but we can't do it. We
Right.
don't know what's in people's heads.
You really don't. And you don't know what's going to trigger something in
Correct.
someone. Someone could be
Correct.
perfectly fine right now, and
Right.
they see something, and like you say, they're opportunists.
Well, realtors are really at the vanguard, at the society's first line of defense. And I think as things, and this is my pessimistic worldview for the future, if things get worse and worse, and there's really a big divide between the haves and the have-nots, that unlocked window, that prescription medicine that they could sell is a quick fix. And I hear that these kids, even kids, they have these farm parties, PHARM, like pharmacy, exchanging parents' medication. They're having too many people having too much free reign in other people's homes, and real estate is the perfect environment to let the bad guys gain access.
Right. Part of the policy should be across the board. These items, and we make a list of them, need to be removed from every house that's being shown on the market. So people, the criminal element that are there to burglarize, to steal, to shoplift, if you will, they have to learn that none of this stuff is in the house any longer. And that's part of the real estate agent's job, to get the homeowner to remove what they can.
That's right. We have about 5 minutes left, and I just wanted to touch on one other thing. Last time you were here, you mentioned some apps that are out there. Can you share some? Or
There's a ton of them. Guardly.com is the one I'm most familiar with. Now, I don't sell any of these apps. I've been asked to sell them as I speak at real estate offices. I just suggest them. There's a ton. They're all GPS-based apps. There's smart jewelry, there's cufflink. These are findable. These are after the fact applications. Some of them, Guardly.com, you can push a button and it will notify 15 people predetermined, including 911. If you have a working cell site and you make that notification, 15 people are notified that you have some sort of an emergency. It's a wonderful tool if it works.
Okay.
I don't like, when I found my way here, I didn't let my GPS do my thinking for us. At times, we have to be accountable and responsible. There's all kinds of apps that people can Google, some directly associated with real estate, some GPS-based that make the phone more findable, and in theory, the holder of that phone more findable.
Okay, very good. If you had to give some takeaways here, I think the number one thing is that you always say, trust your instinct. Give me some more, some takeaways.
Trust your instincts always. Never second guess yourself even once. You can explain it away if you had a bad feeling about somebody, but when you ignore that bad feeling, you're putting yourself at risk. Having office policies in place that the individual agents will follow, it makes them safer and still allows them to do their job. And having an exit scenario and an exit plan for every room in a house that you're willing to go in. I would rather talk my way out of a situation than fight my way out of a situation, and that's an exit scenario. I left some documentation in the car, things like that.
Okay, awesome. Tom, how do we reach you?
646-269-8861, New York's finest speakers, nyfinestspeakers.com online. We speak at schools, at civic organizations, and for real estate offices.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all of
Great
your knowledge.
information.
Yeah,
Perfect.
really great information. Scott, how do we reach you?
Easily 914-879-8411.
And I am Victoria Rivadeneira, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Real Estate RIVAlution. We are here every Wednesday, and obviously we have some great guests. This was a really wonderful topic. I thank you for being here, Scott. I always thank you for
Super important.
co-hosting with me. I can be reached at victoriariva.com, where you can find all of my information, including my social media. Thank you very much. Vinny?
Well, we have just a few seconds. Thank you for joining the Real Estate RIVAlution. We're here every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. live on WRCR AM 1700 and worldwide on WRCR.com, live from New York. My name is Vinny Romano. You can reach me at 800seminars.com, and we'd like you to come back every week. We'll have another special topic next week, and thank
Who's
you
our
for
guest
joining.
next week?
Our guest next week is
Craig Proctor.
Craig Proctor. Next week?
Yes, next
Well,
week.
We're out.
Thanks for joining in the RIVAlution. Now you have the real estate